Good morning, my friends. It is Monday morning, and I thought I would start a vlog today. I can't believe I have not done a vlog in. I'm trying to think. I think the last vlog I did was probably around Valentine's Day. So it must have been. It's been 5 months since I last vlogged for you, which, to be honest, there is a reason for that. I've just been so insanely busy with school that I really did not have too much to share. It's not like I was going out, I was doing stuff. I was either at home working, filming for you guys, planning content. I was at school studying, or I was at the gym working out. That's really what my life has been, other than of course hanging out with Pi and taking him on some big walks. I honestly don't even think, I think if I tell you that I've gone shopping or I've gone to stores 2 or 3 times in the past few months, I might be exaggerating. It's really been all about school, working out and hanging out with Pi, and then trying to squeeze in seeing some of my friends. But these days when my friends want to see me, we have to do a workout together because that is a priority. And I'm so grateful that some of my friends like to join me for that. But that's where I've been. In case you're wondering why you've not seen a vlog from me, I know that some of you missed my travel vlogs and my unboxings. I really have not been shopping that much. I don't have any trips planned, even though it's officially my summer break. As I mentioned in one of my recent videos, I finished my first year of college. I actually just got my last grade this morning and I passed all my classes. I think my GPA was actually pretty good. I passed all my classes with flying colors. I think my GPA should be around an 8.4, 8.3, 8.4, because here in Amsterdam, they grade you between 1 and 10, and I'm around 8.3, 8.4. So I'm incredibly happy with how I did, but I have to be honest with you, it was quite tough. It was definitely a lot more difficult than I expected. Not necessarily just going to school, but just managing and juggling everything that I had going on, trying to have a social life, trying to work as much as I possibly can, going to school, trying to do my best, and really just also having time for myself. It has been quite a lot. And the fact that I have 2 more years left, I don't know. I have to be honest with you. There was a point, I think around, maybe it was in the spring, where I was like, is this all worth it? Because it has been a lot of sacrifice. It's not only been sacrifice in terms of my time, it's also been a huge financial sacrifice going back to school. It's been sacrificing my career to an extent because, of course, I cannot work as much as I did before. I cannot grow at the rate that I did because I just simply don't have as much in me to dedicate to my work. So I really had to have a serious sit down with myself and have a conversation whether this is truly something that I feel like is worth putting all this effort and time into. But when I thought about quitting, or when I thought about not going back to do my second year of school, it just did not feel right. And I seriously considered the option. But when I reflected on this past year, I had to admit to myself that doing psychology and studying this and investing all this time and effort into it truly makes me happy. Like, it's something that I feel like I'm good at, and all the feedback that I get, whether that's good or bad, is encouraging me to learn more and get better and evolve and improve what I already know. And it's something that I am incredibly passionate about. And yes, it might not be the path that I thought I would go down on. It is something that just truly makes me happy, which is kind of the definition of success, right? If you really think about it, because I am turning 30, and this video has gotten really deep really fast, but I'm turning 30 next month. And I am thinking about doing a video on 30 things that I learned before I turned 30. And one of the things that I had to come to realize is that it is such an individual thing to define what happiness and what success is. And I always thought that by the time I'm 30, I'm going to have a kid. I've always dreamt of being a dad, and I've always wanted to have one son. So I always thought that by the time I'm 30, I would be ready to adopt a child, and I would be looking at buying a house with my partner. And that's not the direction that my life headed in. But when I really think about it, yes, my life is different from what I expected, but I feel like I'm 10 times happier than I ever thought I would be, even though I'm nowhere near being ready to have a child. I'm not looking to buy a house. I don't have a partner. But all these things are things that I thought would make me happy. Some of these things I did have at one point, and they really did not make me as happy as I feel like I am today. I hope it makes sense. I'm not shopping as much as I did before, which in the past would have been one of my number one priorities, to be able to shop and buy all these expensive, finer things in life. I no longer have the need for them or even the desire to pursue those. And I don't feel any less happy. If anything, I feel a lot more content with what I have, and I am so much more appreciative of the things that I have in my life. And that doesn't mean that I don't appreciate the finer things in life. I don't love looking at luxurious things, and I don't appreciate them on others or find them almost like a piece of art. Definitely not. It's like, if you love fine art, you go to museums. That doesn't mean that you have a Rothko or a Van Gogh hanging in your library. Why did I say library? Most people don't have libraries in their homes, living room. But just because you don't have these paintings hanging in your living room, that doesn't mean that you don't appreciate them for what they are, or you don't have conversations about these pieces with your friends, and you don't enjoy going to see them in galleries and in museums. That's kind of where I'm at with luxury fashion. I still very much enjoy looking at these things. I still like to look at runway shows and look at pictures and go window shopping and touch and feel things. Well, it's not like I had the time, or not even the time, but it's more like the bandwidth, because I really dislike when people say that I don't have time for this or I don't have time for that. I think you do have the time. It's just not something that you choose to make time for. Had I really wanted to go and see these pieces in person, I could have made the time, but I just did not prioritize it, because that's what it is. It has not been a priority for me to be able to see these things up close and personal as soon as they launched or as soon as they were on shelves. I was very content just looking at them online, and I think I have enough experience to be able to make up my mind without actually touching and feeling these things. So that's where I'm at. I appreciate these things. On others, I still have an opinion. I still very much enjoy having conversations about these things, and that's what I'm here for. You are my virtual group of friends that I can share all my luxury thoughts with, because in real life, honestly, most of my friends these days are not really into luxury either. I still have a handful of friends who really appreciate luxury, and I love having discussions about these things. But you guys are my virtual friends that I get to share this hobby and this passion with. But it's just truly not something that I prioritize at this point, or something that holds as much value to me personally as it did in the past. And don't think for a single second that I'm being self-righteous here and I'm telling you that you should not prioritize these things. You should not prioritize these things. You can tell that it's early in the morning. I'm not telling you that you shouldn't buy these things, or buying these things make you a less valuable person. 1000% not. Just because it's not something that right now enjoys priority in my life, it doesn't mean that it shouldn't enjoy priority in your life either, and you should not enjoy them. As I said, my way of enjoying these things is on others, but if you still choose to buy luxury, I'm so happy for you, and I'm here to have conversations with you about them and share with you what I have to say, what I think anytime I see something new launching. Those are all going to be here for you, and I can live vicariously through you, if anything. But what I was trying to say here, it was just a really long-winded way of going about it, is that I am done with my first year of school, and I am currently enjoying my summer break. I am back. It's actually the next day. I wanted to keep talking to you yesterday, but I ended up getting so overheated sitting on the couch in that long sleeve that I had to take a break. And then I ended up getting lost in doing admin, responding to emails. It wasn't the most exciting day, but today is, because we are going window shopping. I have not gone to any one of our favorite stores, so I wanted to go for a browse and see what's new. I definitely want to stop by Louis Vuitton. I don't know why, but I've been on a real trunk kick. It's something that I have been talking about for years. It's not something that I would say is on my wish list. Maybe if I was still consistently buying luxury, it's something that would be at the top of my wish list, but I'm not really sure if I'm going to pull the trigger and it's actually something that I will buy, but I would love to go and have a browse. I want to stop by Bottega. I've not been to Bottega in quite a while. We might pass by Prada. And then I'm also curious if there are any new pieces from Bulgari, because I do want to do an updated luxury fine jewelry video with some of the newer launches from popular brands like Cartier, Van Cleef, and also Bulgari. So I wanted to see if there's anything new that we could try on and play around with. And then, I can't believe I almost forgot, but our number one priority is to stop by Hermes because they have one of my Birkins. I dropped off my Birkin 35 in black Togo with gold hardware back in March. It's a bag that I wasn't really using for a while. As you know, most of my Hermes bags at this point are in storage, except for some of my larger bags that would be a little bit too difficult to put into a safety deposit box. Not that these boxes are particularly small, but if I put a large bag in there, not much else would fit. So the only bags that I have at home at this point are my larger bags, including this Birkin 35, which I wasn't using for a while. But in March, I wanted to pull it out, and I was shocked to see that the back of the bag was covered in all these white dots. And at first I thought that somehow paint got onto this bag, but I knew that it's not a bag that I used in a while. I was not painting in my apartment, especially not anywhere near that bag. And even though my wardrobe is white, it wasn't touching any of the walls of the wardrobe. It was actually stuck in between bags, and it was also wrapped up in its dust bag. So I knew it couldn't have been paint, but it kind of looked like it. And then it took me a while to realize that it's actually something that I had seen on this bag before, because after a few months of getting this bag, I noticed the white line appearing just around the stitches of the hardware. And at the time I lived in New York, so it was really easy for me to pass by the medicine store that had an on-site craftsperson who I had known and I had spoken to. She was incredibly kind. She did not have me fill out any forms. I did not have to pay for anything. She just told me, leave this bag with me for an hour, go for a walk, and then just come back and I'll get it fixed for you. And then she did. I never had that issue again. And what she told me is that it was really just the fat coming to the surface from the leather. She said that it's something that is quite common when it comes to Togo bags that are made of grained, heavier leathers. So that was it. I think it happened one more time, and I did the same thing. I passed by the medicine store. They had it cleaned for me within a couple of hours. No issue whatsoever. But when I pulled this bag out in March, I was shocked how not only obvious it was, but it wasn't only appearing in the spots where I had seen this before, but the back of the bag was covered in this. So I stopped by Hermes. It was kind of an ordeal because you can no longer make appointments at Hermes. I think I had to wait an hour and a half, 2 hours to see one of the sales associates that I sometimes work with, who is lovely. And I wasn't frustrated. I wasn't angry. I actually felt kind of bad for them just for how understaffed they seemed. And I knew that they would have loved to help me had they had the chance, but they are just so overworked. Anyway, I ended up dropping off this bag, and I also ordered a replacement clochette. So I think maybe 3 weeks, a month later, I got a quote from Hermes. That's usually the case when you drop something off at the spa. They'll send you a quote. The craftspeople will inspect it for you. They will come up with a plan on what they think needs to be fixed. Of course, you can ask for what you would like them to fix, but they will also inspect the bag and make suggestions on what they think they could work on. So they sent me an email with a quote. They told me that it's going to be free of charge. The bag is going to be cleaned. They said that it's not a defect. It's just something that naturally happens to Togo leather, but they can tell that it's not something that I caused. So it is something that they will take care of themselves. Well, they quoted initially 8 weeks for this cleaning service, and we are, I want to say 14 weeks in, 13, 14 weeks in at this point, and the bag is still not here. The replacement clochette is, because they sent me an email about it last week, and they actually said that the clochette would take longer than the cleaning of the bag. So it's surprising that the clochette arrived, which is of course something I will have to pay for. The cleaning of the bag is free of charge, but I want to stop by, ask them about the bag, see what's going on. I also want to have a browse at Hermes to see what's new in case there is something that I can put on your radar. I do want to ask about the Birkin Sellier, because the Birkin Sellier, I believe, is being discontinued this year. Make sure to leave either a note up here once it's confirmed, or I will mention it and talk about it in an upcoming What's New from Hermes video. But I am pretty sure that the Birkin Sellier, this is the last year that you can get that bag. It is still, I think it's still in production, meaning that boutiques that had placed an order for Birkin Sellier bags during podium will get them. So you will see these bags around at stores, but I don't think you can put in wishes for them at this point because I don't think they're going to be around much longer. They will go back to the traditional Birkin return. Speaking of which, did you guys see that Jane Birkin's original Birkin, which I did an in-depth video on? If you ever wanted to know the truth behind the origin of the Birkin bag, I will make sure to link that video up here for you. And then we also looked at Jane Birkin's original Birkin up close and personal, which went on auction at, I think it was at Sotheby's. I always get Sotheby's and Christie's not confused, but I almost use them interchangeably, even though they're different companies. But I think it was Sotheby's that sold Jane Birkin's original Birkin, and I think it went for over $10 million. A Birkin bag for over $10 million. Yes, I understand the historic value and its relevance, but to spend $10 million on a Birkin bag, that is truly insane. But if you'd like to see that bag up close and personal, I will make sure to have that video linked up here for you. Anyway, they are going back to their roots and they're going back to the Birkin return. So if the Birkin Sellier is something that you have always wanted, either ask for it at your store, see if it's something that they can still get for you, or get it on the pre-loved market right now, sooner rather than later. And to be really honest with you, pre-loved prices are nowhere near as bad as they used to be. You can definitely see that the Hermes bubble is slowly but surely shrinking. So get on it now, because once it's officially been discontinued, or once more people start finding out that it's going to be discontinued, you know that prices on the pre-loved market will be just over the roof and you will not be able to justify getting your hands on one of those bags. I can have a look for you online, and if I see any, I will make sure to link them in the info box for you. But just a little update, it's something that I heard through the grapevine, and I'm really curious to see if it's something that they can confirm at this point. Even if they cannot, let's just hope that this rumor is true and I'm not starting anything here that's inaccurate. At least I try not to. But yeah, that's what we're going to be doing today. I really hope that maybe they just forgot to email me about my Birkin being back and they only found the clochette, and when I show up and ask for it, it's actually going to be there. And then I might take some of my Hermes belts with me, because I do want to wear some of my belts, but they're just too big for me at this point. So I might take those with me to have some additional holes punched in. I could of course also buy another leather strap, but I really don't want to. I have so many belt straps from Hermes that I don't want to spend hundreds and hundreds of euros on a new one when I have some that I could just get some additional holes punched in. Let's see how busy they are, because the line these days is really insane when it comes to Hermes, and because they are so understaffed, they really don't offer appointments at this point. So let's see how that goes. We'll have a browse there, and I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I wanted to tell you. Yes, I can't believe I almost forgot this. I posted a picture on Instagram, I think it was last week or the week before, which I am slowly but surely going to come back to Instagram. I took a huge break from Instagram, not only from posting, but also from consuming Instagram content. It's not something that I want to go back to, consuming Instagram content, but I will go back to posting on there. And I recently posted a picture of, well, the main focus of the picture was these Jean-Paul Gaultier sunglasses, which I thought were such a statement piece. And so many of you asked me about my skincare routine after posting that picture, saying that you thought that my skin looked great, which, first of all, that's very kind of you, but I actually am quite happy with my skin. I have introduced some new products into my routine. It hasn't changed that much. If you've been with me for a while, you will not be surprised by what I've been using, but I wanted to show you really just a handful of products that I have really been enjoying. And obviously I am turning 30, so if there's ever been a time to take care of my skin, it is now. But let me go ahead, grab those products really quick, and then we'll sprint through my reviews. Right, these are the things that I wanted to show you really quick. If you've been with me for a while, you'll know that the one brand that I always go back to, it's a brand that I have been singing the praises of for years, is Paula's Choice. This video is not sponsored by Paula's Choice. I have been buying Paula's Choice since I was 18. It is the brand that I always come back to. Yes, I will try different brands and new things, this is a brand that is consistently reliable and has completely transformed my skin. And what I was incredibly grateful for is that I got sent a gift from Paula's Choice. I got sent some products, which I think these are not it actually, but it was just such an amazing moment because it's a brand that, as I said, I've been using for 12 years at this point. So not sponsored. They have no idea that I'm talking about them. I'm not working with them in any capacity, but I wanted to be upfront. They have gifted me products once, and it's a brand that I have been talking about for years and years and years. But one thing that I love and I have been using for years and will always use, I have used different iterations of it because this is one of their updated versions of it, but it is the Nourishing Milky Toner from their Redness line. I love I think it's called the Calm line now. In the past, it was called the Redness line. Now it's called the Calm line, and it is made for, as the name suggests, sensitive, redness prone skin, which is something that I have been struggling with, but this has done wonders for my skin. It is an extremely thick, moisturizing toner that it's not even a toner. I would almost look at it as an essence or a really thin serum that is basically like a drink of water for your skin, but it also has a beautiful soothing cocooning effect, which I really appreciate. If you have oily skin, I do think that you could probably replace your moisturizer with this. At least in the morning, you could apply this and then go in with your sunscreen. You would not need an additional layer of moisture because this would be hydrating enough. So this is something that I love and have been using for 12 years. Not this same bottle and not this exact formula because it's been updated, but this product in some shape or form. Then another thing that if you know Paula's Choice, you'll need no introduction to, or maybe you do because this is not their standard 2% BHA, but this is their salicylic acid. So this is made for acne prone congested skin. I use the exfoliating lotion, which is slightly thicker than the toner that they are known for, just because I have dry skin and I want as much hydration and as much cushioning as I can possibly get. But if you struggle with clogged pores, with congestion, with acne, especially in the summer, I know that a lot of people can get that because we sweat a little bit more. This is the best exfoliant to invest in. They do several different formulas. So they have a toner that's more liquidy, they have a gel, and then the lotion is the thickest one that they do. But I love this and I find it really soothing, but also incredibly effective in exfoliating your skin. And then the last thing from Paula's Choice, which was kind of shocking that it's so good. It's not something, I was quite reluctant to try this. And I think this might be one of the products that was sent to me. And this is their newest moisturizer. It is the Pro Collagen Peptide Plumping Moisturizer. And it's not exaggerating when it tells you that it is plumping because I have never had a moisturizer that makes my skin as bouncy, as plumped, and as juicy looking as this without my skin looking overly greasy. Because of course I can apply an extremely thick balm to my skin that will make it look really firm, but it will also leave a greasy residue. I don't know how they did this, but this is the most lightweight gel cream that somehow is able to plump your skin. Now, if you're not sure what peptides are essentially short chain amino acids, which are the building blocks of proteins. So things like elastin and collagen in your skin. And in theory, by introducing these small broken down amino acids onto your skin, you are encouraging your skin to complete these broken down chains and produce more collagen and elastin. I don't know if it works. The research on this is quite mixed because on paper, of course, it is much easier than it is in real life. I don't know if it is the peptides, if it is the texture, if it's all the humectants and all the additional ingredients that are in this, because it is jam-packed with things like squalane, glycerin, there's apple fruit extract. There are a ton of really beautiful, hydrating, plumping ingredients in this, alongside, of course, those peptides. Now, the reason I was reluctant is not because of Paula's Choice. It's a brand that I have a lot of faith in, but to me, this seemed a lot more trend-oriented than some of their other products. I think it very much plays into this whole road skincare trend with all the peptides and the pink packaging. Nothing against Rhode. I've not had a chance to try her skincare. I would love to, but I don't think they ship to Europe. All of my friends who have tried it have been really impressed, so I would be open to it. Next time I'm in the US, I'm going to give them a try. But this, I kind of underestimated, and it is incredible. I don't think it really matters whether you have more mature skin or more youthful skin. I think it's something that you would really enjoy, not only because of the plumping and this bouncy effect, but also because of the texture. And what I have been doing to get some color, because I have to tell you, I've been looking so dull and so pale. I don't know what happens, but when I get tired, fatigued, and just overly stressed, I lose all the color from my skin except the redness, which is not the prettiest look. So I've been wanting to try a self tanner, not only because I have been looking great, but also because I've been running a lot outside. I'm not currently training for anything. I did 2 Hyroxes earlier this year. I did a half marathon last year. I am fully retired. I'm not planning on adding anything else onto my plate right now, but I am still running. I try to run somewhere between 20 to 30K a week. And because I've been running outside, my body is a lot more tan than my face, because I always protect my face with the highest SPF I have at home. So there is not only this stark difference between my body and my face, but I've also been looking really pale. And because I don't wear foundation, it's not something that I can correct or match. So I've been thinking about trying a self tanner. I think I was my early 20s when I first tried a gradual tan on my body, which people swore by and they said it was the best thing since sliced bread. I cannot tell you how orange it turned me, which again, I don't think has anything to do with the gradual tan itself. It is just purely because I'm so incredibly cool toned. I really don't have any warmth naturally in my skin. So most things will look quite unnatural and orange on me, except a natural tan, which I really don't want to indulge in too much just because of how damaging it is for your skin. But where I'm trying to get at is that I don't think most self tanners would work for me because I am incredibly fair and cool toned. But I read some great things about this online, which is the Tonologist self tan drops in the color light. And they say that you can use this on your face and your body. You can essentially just customize your tan depending on how many drops you put into your moisturizer. So I've been mixing this with a pump of the peptide moisturizer from Paula's Choice. And I do think I have quite a nice color. I think yesterday I was a little bit more tan than I am today because the night before I used 2 drops. Last night I used 1 drop. I wish I could use 1.5 because I think that would be the perfect concoction for me. That would give me the perfect color. But I'm playing around with this. I've only had this for a couple of weeks. But so far, I'm pretty happy. I've not gone orange. I've not gone Oompa Loompa. So it is quite promising so far. So if you are looking for a tan and you are quite fair, maybe give this a try. I'll try to link it down below for you. It was really reasonably priced. I just read, I think, an article about the best self tanners for fair skin. And this was on there, but they do 3 different shades. They do a light, a medium, a dark. And I think they do have an extra dark range, but I'm not sure if the drops are included. I wouldn't go for a mousse. I wouldn't go for a mist because I want a little bit more control, and the drops give me that. And I do think it's a gradual tan. So it's not something that will give you an immediate shocking layer of color that could look quite unnatural. And then last but not least, I wanted to talk about this really quick. I used this up in the past few months, which is the Indigo Overnight Repair Serum in Cream. It's a line that I've been using since it first came out. I first discovered this line at Barney's, but the Indigo Cream was completely different. It was a range that used indigo. It's a brand Tatcha that's inspired by Japanese culture and Japanese skin rituals. So they use a lot of natural ingredients that are famous in Japan, like silk extract and indigo, which is of course used for dyeing denim. And it's a line that's particularly good for sensitive skin. So when it first launched, I bought a tub of that from Barney's, and it was this really thick, goopy indigo blue balm, which did wonders for my skin. It really, really healed my skin. It was insanely expensive. I think at the time, and this was like 2016, 2017, I think, that cream was close to $200. So when I used a couple of tubs of it, then my skin was doing a lot better. I moved on to other things, probably moved back onto something from Paula's Choice. And then recently I saw this again online and I got a tub and it was completely different. It wasn't blue, it wasn't a balm, it was a really thin, light cream, which I enjoyed. It was surprisingly moisturizing enough, but I did not feel it was able to do as much for my skin as the Bomb was able to. I think they did away with the original Indigo line because Tatcha got acquired by Unilever, I think, and then it might have not been doing that well, or I don't know what it is, but the original Indigo range is no longer around. This is their new iteration of it, which I don't enjoy nearly as much as I did the original cream, but I wanted to give you an update on this in case it's something that you have been toying with the idea of trying. I liked it enough, don't get me wrong. If I was at Sephora and it was on sale, I would pick it up, but I would not go out of my way to get this. Whereas this, even though it's a lot less expensive, it's something that I would run out to get because I think it's done a lot more for my skin than this was able to, even though in theory this should be a lot more luxurious. Anyway, I hope it gave you a little bit of an insight into what I've been using on my skin in case that's something you were curious about. I'm turning 30 and I have no fillers or no Botox in my skin currently. I don't think that it's something that should be celebrated. I think you can do whatever you want to do with your skin. I'm just trying to be transparent here. I am going to get a little bit of Botox just before my 30th or just around my 30th in my 11th, so in between my eyebrows, but it's not something that I currently have or I've had done in the past few years. But I've been promising you that I would do this, so here it is. I'll make sure to link everything down below for you if you want to give them a little bit more of a research. And let's pick up the camera when I get to Hermes, hopefully later today. Another morning, another check-in from yours truly. I feel like you're probably going to see me pretty much every single day this week, which I hope you don't mind. I was supposed to put this video live on Thursday, but I don't think that's happening because yesterday I ended up spending so much time waiting in line at Hermes that I did not have time to go anywhere else. But I thought I could give you some cliff notes on what I saw at Hermes yesterday. I hope this is not distracting. I have my cup in the viewfinder. Anyway, I hope this is better and I hope it has not been focusing on my cup instead of focusing on me. Anyway, so I spent so much time waiting in line at Hermes. I think I got there at 2:20 p.m. I did not get into the store until like 3. Then I had to wait for another hour for one of my favorite sales associates to be available. So I think we did not start looking at things until like 4:20, something along those lines. Then they had to go check on my Birkin, which by the way is still not bagged. The clochette was there, but my bag wasn't, and I wasn't going to buy the clochette without seeing the bag because I wanted to make sure that even though it's made of the same leather, I wanted to make sure that it kind of nicely blends in with the grains of the bag. So they said, yeah, that's perfectly fine. You just come back and whenever your bag is ready, you can just pay for the clochette and take it then. I hope that made sense. So I did not really have a chance to look at anything else, meaning any other brands. I had a quick browse at Hermes. There were no new ready-to-wears. They had a ton of shoes, which I think I filmed some for you, just kind of the stand-up pieces. It's still very much all about the Jet sneakers, which if you have not tried on those sneakers, I would highly, highly recommend them. They are doing them in a beautiful, rich, brownish, almost kind of brick red color. I couldn't really tell if it was brown or brick red. It was just a beautiful sort of foliage inspired color, which makes sense because it's already part of the fall winter collection and they're doing it in suede, which is quite beautiful. It's available both for men and women. I saw the new headphones that Hermes is doing, which I forgot to ask about the European price. I think I do have the US price, so I'll make sure to put it up here on the screen for you. It is kind of insane if you want to hear about all the specs and what makes this piece so special, other than the fact that it is Hermes. It's something that we talked about in depth in a recent What's New from Hermes update, and this headphone was also really heavily featured in the last Hermes runway show, so it is definitely something that is going to be around for quite a while. It's beautifully made, but personally, I'm not a big fan of the design. I know that I cannot pull off headphones. I just don't have the features for it. My head is way too round, but if you're a big fan of headphones, it's something that is out now in some beautiful shades. And then I saw a Kelly Doll, so Kelly Doll or Kelly Doll, depending on how you want to pronounce it, in the Pixel version. And then they also had the new mini garden party available in leather, which that's a bag that I have not seen in leather before. I've seen the mini garden party in canvas, but I have not seen it in full leather, which was quite special. And then another piece that stood out to me, which at first I thought was a special order on display, but it wasn't. But they had a tricolor Birkin 30, which that is one thing that makes it quite special, that it's not a special order Birkin bag, but it is a tricolor, meaning that Hermes picked 3 different colors to use for the creation of this bag. So that is one pillar that makes it quite special. But what made this bag even more unique, in my opinion, and the main reason I thought it was a special order, is because it was a return Birkin, but it was made of Epsom. Back in the day, that would have not been special, but Hermes stopped producing return bags in Epsom. There is a reason for that. Epsom and harder, stiffer leathers are not suited for return bags because the leather will eventually start creasing around the edges because it's not malleable enough to take on a bag that requires a more slouchy structure. So they no longer offer, at least not regularly, Birkins in Epsom, but this tricolor bag was available in Epsom, which made it quite special. In the past, you could buy Birkins in all different sizes in Epsom, but that is no longer the case. So these days, you can only really find it as an a la carte option. And we were also talking with my sales associate that at one point, this was a few years back, something that was quite special is that you could do Sellier bags in Togo, because Epsom bags are usually exclusively available in Sellier structures, and then Togo bags are usually exclusively available in return, because Togo is an extremely soft and supple leather that needs the structure of a more supple, more malleable bag, because it's so heavy it will kind of collapse in on itself. So it's incredibly rare to find a Togo bag in a return structure, a Togo bag in a Sellier structure. But when the Kelly Leather collection, so the Kelly Leather collection launched, some of those Kelly bags were made in Sellier in Togo, and that very same season, Hermes also offered it as an a la carte option. And I actually know someone who got a Sellier Togo bag. Sorry, I'm getting so confused with all these terms. A Sellier Togo bag. But it was interesting to see if we see any more of them. Maybe if you spot some Birkin return bags in Epsom, let us know in the comment section. They also had an incredibly beautiful Birkin Sellier in size 25 in gold croc, which I love the color gold in croc. It is incredibly rare. You'll only find it in matte. It's not available in a lisse finish. It was truly a breathtaking piece. And I think these are all the things that stood out to me. Now, what did I look at for myself? I did not get around to having new holes punched in my belt because we ended up spending so much time just catching up, looking at these bags, and then just me waiting that I had to rush to the gym because I had the gym in the evening, and then I wanted to end the day with a reformer class with my friend. So I did not get the chance to have those belts redone or have some new holes punched into them, but I looked at 2 rings. Something that I have been looking at and toying with the idea of is picking up a new pinky ring, because I do have a beautiful pinky ring from Hermes. I should have put it on today, but it is my Gallop ring, which I bought, I think, in size 52. Why? Because that was the only size that was available, even though it was slightly too big at the time, and it's definitely way too big at this point. I rarely, if ever, wear that ring out. I'll wear it at home, especially when I'm filming, but I won't really wear it out because it's way too big and it has the tendency to slip off. At the time, I was quite new to Hermes. I found this ring. I had never seen it before. I was told that it was a special, unique piece and that there are no more sizes available out there. So I thought, I love it so much, I'll make it work. And I did make it work for a while because, as I said, when I first bought it, and this was way back, it wasn't as big as it is today because my fingers shrunk slightly. Not my fingers themselves, but the size, my ring size on my fingers. So at this point, it's not something that I can wear out comfortably because I know that it's something that I would most likely lose. So it's not something that I've been able to wear, and I do miss having a pinky ring in my collection. So there were two pieces that I looked at. One was the shattering ring, which I own in rose gold, but I've never tried it in silver. And you might be shocked about me trying on a silver ring. I have always been very much against buying designer silver because I think it is way too expensive for what you get. Silver oxidizes, it doesn't rust. I always say the word rust. It doesn't physically or chemically rust, but it looks tarnished and worn and aged. It chips, it marks, and for that, I think it is quite expensive. But I did a video on Chrome Hearts, and of course, Chrome Hearts is so well known for their silver pieces. And when I was going through some of my Chrome Hearts pieces, I found some silver things, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I should give silver a try. So I tried on the shattering ring in silver, which I actually quite liked. Like, I'm not against it, but it was a lot thicker and a lot more chunky than the gold version because obviously silver is not that expensive, so they don't have to be quite as careful with how thick they make the ring. So it was okay. I wasn't blown away by it. But then I came across this ring, which it's not a new design. It's something that is part of the Shandong Punk collection, which is a cooler, bolder, more statement take on the iconic Shandong collection. I did have a couple of pieces from that collection, and the reason I'm using past tense, well, I should say I did have one piece from that collection that I ended up losing, which is a punk bracelet. And then did I buy anything else? I think I must have. I think I had two pieces from the punk collection. I think it was a little ring that I had, like a really, really thin ring that I might still have. I mean, I really should have that still, but I remember losing one bracelet from the punk collection. Anyway, it's a collection that they do something with every now and again, but it's not as popular and as frequently produced as it was in the past. But I came across this ring, which I'm sure I had seen before, but I had never tried it. And it is a double ring in rose gold. I did not think too much about it. I was just playing around with rings and I was like, you know what? Let me throw this on. In fact, I did not even take a video of it. Thank God I took a picture, so at least I can show you the picture here because I'm having such a hard time tracking down this ring because I think it must be from a previous season. Anyway, it's available in rose gold, and they also do a similar punk ring in silver. The silver one I think is just around 800 euros. And then they also do a triple ring because this is a double ring, so it slides onto two of your fingers. I think it looks best when it's being worn on your pinky and on your ring finger, but you can of course wear it on any one of your fingers. But then they also have a triple finger version, which means that it runs across three of your fingers, and it is a unisex ring. Not that most things aren't unisex because you can buy whatever brings you joy and whatever proportions work for you. But it is one of those rings that is shown both on men and women on the website, but I can only find it on the Hong Kong website. And sadly, I don't think that the one that I tried on yesterday would have been the perfect size. Honestly, I did not take it seriously, so I did not even make sure that it would be the proper size, but I remember it sliding on a little bit too easily, so I wonder if I would lose it. I would probably, if I really wanted to get it, I would probably have to go down a size in that if it's something that's still available. But that is stuck on my mind. I've been thinking about it ever since yesterday, so I'm really glad that I have that picture. It is going to go onto my wish list, and if I cannot forget about it, I might just get that for my 30th birthday. I'm not saying that I will, but it is something that I am toying with the idea of. I just want to make sure that I'm not only looking at it and buying it because I haven't bought anything in quite a while, but that was quite special. And I'm going to put some pictures in today's video because I have the website pulled up so I can show you the different variations of this ring online. But the rose gold version, I really loved. I don't think I would go for the triple ring version, even though it's available in a ton of different sizes. But a double ring I really, really liked. And the punk ring collection was quite expensive. At one point, they did some more simplistic takes on it, both without diamonds, with white diamonds, also with black spinels, which is what Hermes uses instead of using black diamonds. But yeah, that ring I'm thinking about. Let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section.